Coming up on this week's show, Heidi Cullinan and Iggy Toma are back to talk about their audiobook collaborations.
Welcome to the Big Gay Fiction Podcast, the show for readers and writers of gay romance fiction. If you can read it, write it, watch it, or listen to it, these two guys are going to talk about it. Now, here are your hosts, Jeff Adams and Will Knaus.
Welcome to episode 120 of Jeff and Will's Big Gay Fiction Podcast. I'm Jeff from JeffAdamsWrites.com.
And I'm Will from WillKnaus.com. This week's episode is brought to you in part by listeners just like you. We will have more information on how you can help support this show in just a few moments. Welcome everyone, another week, another episode. Hello, sir.
Hello to you.
You've been busy, you've been away.
Yes.
In the frozen tundra that is Texas.
Yes. Who would have thought that Texas could freeze so much in January? It was crazy. I was down there. I flew on Monday. When I got up Tuesday morning to go to my meetings, I believe it was 18 feels like 3, which I'm glad I had my New York winter coat with me to protect me from the elements. Mm-hmm. It was colder there than it was in New York. Mm-hmm. It was insane. But yes, I was in Texas. It was interesting, not only just being in Texas and doing all that I had to do there, but helping to manage our book release and writing some new stuff, and it was a busy week.
Yes, it was. Speaking of which, a certain book came out on Tuesday.
Woo!
Yay.
Yay for us.
Hockey Player's Heart officially released out into the world.
Yes, more than just the subscribers have it now, which is very cool. Thanks to everybody who picked up a copy during the week. We much appreciate it, and seems to have been pretty well received so far from the bits that I've seen.
Yeah, we're really grateful, very humbled by all the kind words that everyone has sent our way. Thank you very much. I'm glad everyone is enjoying the book.
Yes, very much so. And if you're interested in getting in on the blog tour, there are 3 more stops that happen next week. It'll wrap up officially on the 25th, and the Rafflecopter will close on Sunday, January 28th. And of course, we're giving away about a dozen ebooks, 1 ebook for each of the tour stops, plus the grand prize is a signed paperback. If you're living in the U.S. or if you're international, we'll send you a $10 Amazon e-gift card and let you get anything that you want. You can see the full tour stop information at JeffAdamsWrites.com. There's a link right on the homepage to see the whole schedule. In writing news, I actually got the first chapter for Codename Winger Book 4 completed while I traveled, and did a lot of plot boarding. I took the concept of the sticky notes that we have on the plot board and applied it to a spreadsheet so that I didn't have to manage to cart around a bunch of sticky notes with me, which would be not too great to have on a plane. Nobody would understand that. But I'm happy that got done. And you, of course, worked on Hockey Player's Heart sequel last week while I was away as well. Mm-hmm. Did that go well?
Sure.
There you go. Sure. Yeah, I think that's the big update on last week. Do you want to welcome? We've got new patrons to welcome.
Yes, we do. This week we would like to welcome Lisa and Aurora to the Patreon family. We're so glad that you've joined us. Now, everyone listening, you can help support the Big Gay Fiction Podcast with a monthly pledge through Patreon. For as little as 25 cents an episode, that's just $1 a month, your pledge helps pay for the cost of producing and distributing this podcast. And for fans who pledge at the silver and gold levels, you'll have the exclusive opportunity to ask questions of our upcoming guests. All patrons also have the option to have a personalized thank you sent directly to them. Now, any month that our pledges cover our monthly production costs, we will create a special bonus show, especially for our patrons. We're going to be doing that actually really soon. So if any of our patrons out there have questions for our special, essentially Valentine's Day week episode, be sure to go to Patreon and get your questions in, or suggestions if you want us to cover a specific topic on Valentine's Day week.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now you can get more information on how to join us on Patreon. All you got to do is go to patreon.com/biggayfictionpodcast. That is patreon.com/biggayfictionpodcast. In The Hockey Player's Heart, the feel-good gay romance by Jeff Adams and Will Knaus, hockey star Caleb Carter returns to his hometown to recover from an injury. He never expects to run into his one-time crush at a grade school fundraiser. Seeing Aaron Price hits him hard, like being checked into the boards. The attraction is still there, even after all these years, and Caleb decides to make a play for the school teacher. You miss 100% of the shots you never take, right? Aaron has been burned by love before, and can't imagine what a celebrity like Caleb could possibly see in a guy like him. Their differences are just too great. But as Aaron spends more time with Caleb, he begins to wonder if he might have what it takes to win the hockey player's heart. Get The Hockey Player's Heart at dreamspinnerpress.com, amazon.com, and other online book retailers. Now, I know you've been doing some extracurricular reading.
Yes, indeed.
You've been a busy guy.
I have been. It's been a very ready January so far. I think I've done 6.
Fantastic.
Which is kind of crazy, and I'm ahead of my Goodreads challenge limit for where I should be for those 57. So yeah, I've actually got 4 to talk about this time, although one will be kind of short. First up is, actually, the first 2, strangely, are both song titles that have become book titles. The first one is Straight from the Heart, which used to be a Bryan Adams song back in the day. This book is by Sam Burns and is part of the Wild Love series. It's book 1. So in this book, we meet Alex, who has just given up law school because it's not what he wants to do. He wants to be a bassist. And he's already been in a band, and so he moves in with the band to pursue his musical dreams. As they're out celebrating his liberation from school, he's actually almost mugged, but then saved by Liam, who we later find out works for a crime boss, and he's been assigned to protect Alex, but then he kind of falls in love with Alex along the way and wants to start dating him. So it's weird, you're not exactly supposed to date the people that you're just watching to keep safe. These 2 are completely endearing and adorable, as certain secrets of Liam's are revealed to Alex, and they try to resolve the fact of, if they could be in this relationship this way or not. And Alex has some really good growing up to do. He's never dated really anyone before, so that's new. When he left law school, he was disowned by his parents because they wanted him to go through school and to follow in his father's footsteps. But he grows up and kind of finds his own way, which was delightful. And the revelation of revelation, that's the word I'm looking for, of Liam's actual work with the crime boss was also quite interesting. I think I'll be returning to this series because I like so much about it. Sam Burns was new to me, and I quite liked her take on a bit of a coming of age. I don't necessarily, there was a little coming out, but it wasn't an angsty coming out at all, so I don't really put it in the category of a coming out. And certainly the little bit of age difference between Liam and Alex was also good, although it didn't quite extend as far as a May-December romance. So I quite liked Straight from the Heart. And Sam also released, just a few days ago, Blackbird in the Reeds, which is a paranormal, and I kind of looked at the blurb, and I might pick that one up too, because I seem to be having a paranormal bent lately, which I don't quite understand, but that is what it is. The next one I read, which also relates to a song title, is Come What May by A.M. Arthur, and this audio was narrated by Tyler Stevens. A.M. is an author we both discovered late last year with one of her cowboy books. In this book, it's a new adult, and we've got Jonas Ashcroft, who was essentially a frat boy player. He was out there enjoying the ladies. Except that's not really who he was. He had jammed himself pretty significantly in the closet as the son of a conservative senator, and he actually had a stunt that he pulled at a frat party that got him sent right out of town because his dad didn't want him around during the elections. But when he goes off to live with his aunt, he meets Tate, who is a young man that runs an LGBT homeless shelter and is also raising his sisters on his own after their parents were killed. Tate essentially and Jonas have sparks that lead to more, and Tate, kind of against his better judgment, kind of helps Jonas find himself, both in terms of coming out and finding the courage to take your own path. And I enjoyed this book. It was I don't read a lot of coming out anymore, but I kind of liked Jonas's and Tate's relationship enough that I kind of pulled through some of that stuff, and it really is rooted in some of the conservative culture of today and how they treat some of their kids when they're not doing what they want them to do. The more that Jonas and Tate spent time with each other, the more I just fell hard for their relationship. And AM did a terrific job here. You could tell her writing style persisted from this book to the cowboy book, or vice versa, because I actually don't know which came first. Tyler Stevens also does a wonderful job on the narration here, and I really like that the boys kind of had a bonding moment over the film Moulin Rouge, which is where Come What May comes from, because that song kind of becomes their song in a way. So I really enjoyed that a lot. Next up, because the Palooza continues, Romancing the Werewolf from Gail Carriger and narrated by Peter Newman. This is one of her Supernatural Society novellas, and specifically focuses on Biffy in his role as the new alpha for the London Pack, and Professor Randolph Lyle, who is his beta, who has returned after 20-some years away to let Biffy kind of settle into this role. This book takes place over Christmas and the holidays as Biffy is settling the pack in a new location in London to get away from the vampires that live next door. There are babies left at the doorstep, which is its own interesting, unique subplot, and was a nice comment on today's society as well. Biffy and Randolph were completely adorable as the professor came back, and they resumed, well, they tried to figure out how to resume their relationship, because now they were alpha and beta instead of just two werewolves in the pack. I think I might have missed a few references along the way, because this is, kind of an in-between book in an existing series, and I haven't read the rest of the series before. But frankly, this was on sale on Audible, and I grabbed it. So, but I did enjoy it, and I might visit some of her other supernatural novels to kind of see where things go, and particularly to see where this continues from here. So it was exciting to finally read some Gail Carriger, because we hear about her quite a lot. And wrapping up what I read, I traveled this week on the way back. I reloaded Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli into Audible. I listened to it first in 2015 when it came out, and 3 years on, I easily fell into exactly why this is one of my very, 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 very favorite books. I would give it 1 billion stars on the scale of 1 to 5. I specifically revisited it because, of course, the Love, Simon movie is coming out in March, and I kind of wanted to remind myself of all the little nuances that go on in the book. If you haven't read this book, go get it. I can't emphasize that enough. It's a beautiful... I said earlier I don't read coming out stories a lot. This one is one, but Becky handles it so deftly and just beautifully that it's worth the read, and worth reading before the movie comes out too. So, yeah, and that's narrated by Michael Crouch, who does a tremendous job voicing Simon, since this is a first-person book.
Fantastic. Now, you can get the list of Jeff's recent readings. All of that is available, of course, on the show notes page of BigGayFictionPodcast.com.
Yes.
Now, real quickly, we want to mention some things that we have been watching on TV. The first episodes of a couple different series have recently premiered. I guess this is the mid-season.
Yes.
We're in the mid-season replacement shows. Well, actually, these technically aren't replacements. They're just short run.
Yeah, short run. I guess that's a better way to call them, yes.
The first one we want to mention real quickly is American Crime Story, the Gianni Versace murder. That is on FX. And we watched the very first episode. It premiered this past week. It's really, really good. I really enjoyed the first one.
Yeah, I did too. I wasn't too sure how I was going to feel about the starting in 97 with the assassination, and then going backwards a little bit and going forwards a little bit, but it all worked out in the end. And my goodness, Darren Criss can be kind of creepy. I've never seen him in this kind of role before. He's actually playing Andrew Cunanan, who is the one who murdered Versace, and I see an Emmy nomination at least for him coming, because it's like, oof, creepy.
Yeah, so that show's off to a good start. We recommend you check that out. Also, we want to mention Black Lightning, the new superhero show, premiered this past week on the CW. I really liked this show. I think the premiere was excellent, and I think the show has an awful lot of possibilities. I think what sets this show apart is, well, there are actually several different things. The primary reason, I think, is that it is, while it does pay homage to some of the classic superhero tropes, it is certainly a lot more grounded and more real and more gritty than some of the past DC offerings. I think this feels a little bit more like some of the Marvel stuff that we see on Netflix.
I would agree. This is very much rooted. In some ways, it reminded me of first season Arrow, where it was grounded in taking care of the bad guys that were in Star City. But this, I think, it does even more. It's not in the Arrowverse at all, so it doesn't carry any of the baggage that are in the other shows. And it's interesting to see this character, and it's really interesting to see this take on current modern life, too. So I'm looking forward to seeing where Black Lightning goes. That's Tuesdays at 9 on the CW.
Did you know that podcasts love to get reviews too? Taking a moment to leave a review about the Big Gay Fiction podcast helps us with the show's visibility online. Please take a moment to visit iTunes and leave a review. Your comments help other readers of gay romance discover this show. Thanks for helping us spread the word about the Big Gay Fiction podcast.
So we've got Heidi Cullinan and Iggy Toma back this week for part 2 of our interview. This time out, we're going to talk about how they came together to form their partnership, how that collaboration works, the latest audiobook from them, which is Antisocial, that came out in the fall last year, and also to take a look at what's coming up in 2018 for the partners. Now, you two have worked together on all of Heidi's books, which is 15 as I count it on Audible, and that goes back to Love Lessons in 2015. How did you two come together? Was it a basic ACX audition, or was there more there than that?
No, it was a random ad through. So Sam Haines subcontracted through. I can't remember the name. It was through some other third party, and those
Insatiable Press, I think.
That's it. There you go. Thank you. Sorry, I'm bad with names. But and those books are still with them. I forget when the contract runs out. I'm not sure what happens when it does. That's another day. One fire at a time. So, and it was just a random hookup. They just said, "Here's your audiobook," and I listened to it and I went, "Wow, I really like this." And then there's a blogger promoter who really is into audiobooks was trying to do a promo thing because she loves the Love Lessons books and she loved the audio, and she was like, "I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to find Iggy Toma." And I'm like, "If you do, can you get me the email? Because I want to tell them how much I love that book." And then they were doing the next one. I said, "Make sure that it's that guy because I really like that guy." And I kept going, "Find that guy. I like that guy. I like that guy." And then we just started talking, and I think he eventually asked me a question about one of them, like, "What's this thing?" or something. And then when I started doing indie stuff, I was like, do you do indie? Can you do this with it? And then it just sort of snowballed. I just kept saying when they were doing stuff, I said, only him. It has to be him. And the sales were good. So they're like, yes, only him. And I'm like, yes, always him. And now I'm going over to Dreamstone with this series. And I said, it must be Iggy. It has to be Iggy. And then I showed them the sales numbers. They're like, you're right. It has to be Iggy.
Yeah, I just lucked out. I mean, it was just the producing company, Insatiable Press, contacted me about it, and I was like, "Wow, these are really good." And then down the road, got in contact with Heidi, and we've kind of clung on to each other ever since.
And it looked like it was like your Love Lessons was maybe your third audiobook, or at least the third that showed up in Audible.
Yeah, I was pretty green at that point. I just kind of started this new chapter in my career, and yeah, just lucked out that I landed with Heidi so early, and that I think that her books are so beautifully written that it makes my job that much easier, and so I think that those books themselves kind of stepped up my game. They demanded a bit more from me in a way that I think made me a better narrator, and yeah, I'm just lucky to be a part of it.
What do you think makes the partnership so strong?
I would say that there's a mutual respect and admiration that I think is essential. I just really love her books, so I'll always go out of my way to make sure I can be available for them. And then I admire the material so much that I want to do my best work possible for them. And then I really appreciate that Heidi respects me as an artist and gives me a lot of respect and kind of power to interpret, which is ultimately one of the scary things about my job. Is somebody spends years writing a book and doing all this research, and then I got to show up and do the best possible audio for it. So the fact that she trusts me, I think, encourages me to really to invest as fully as I possibly can.
I've always been impressed with the care that Iggy takes in doing the work for the books, because like I said, there's like whenever he asks a question, I'm always like, I didn't even think of that. Like, I mean, I know you have a question coming up, but like the worst was Antisocial. I was like, I'm so sorry, I didn't realize what I did. And he'll research like how to say the words of towns, and like in the care, like the thing that got me the first book was Love Lessons, but like all the different voices and the way that he can make, like, I love to listen to the audio because it's like it was my book, I wrote it, but I'll listen and I get caught up in it because it doesn't sound like it's my book anymore. And it really isn't, because it's Iggy's book now too. And so it's so fun to take my work and it turns it into somebody else's. And as soon as I started doing indie audio, at first I really didn't understand the system, and I was having a really hard time going and since it was a little bit new for Iggy too, we were having a really hard time. Like, I was like, I just want to say I want you on this system, and can I just click the button? And we were like, I said, here it is. And so there'd be these times where I go, okay, here's my thing, but it's like you have to be public for like just a fraction of a second. And so at first I was really bad, and it looked like I was putting out an open audition. And then I would get all these like people like slammed with these, here, I want to do your thing. And I would listen and I'd be like, no. And it wasn't even just because it wasn't Iggy. I was like, no, that's not right. No. And I would like freak out. And it made me more like, I'm like, no, Iggy has to accept it. You have to come and do it. I was like so freaking out. I'm like, if he doesn't want to do it, I don't know what I'm going to do. So then even more when he accepted, I was like, my God, thank God. So yeah, no. Married for life, man. Audio moment. I mean, it's like no. So,
is there anything out there, Iggy, that you think would be outside the comfort zone to work on? I mean, we've even talked about here just a few minutes ago the concept of the next, I think it was Love Lessons book, being female, and everybody saying you had to do it. Is there anything out there you think that would be beyond what you think your ability is?
I think that if so Heidi brought up Antisocial and Antisocial and how and the challenges of having Japanese, and I've had to do languages that are not my native language in books before, And it's certainly a challenge to try to make it sound reasonably close to somebody who actually uses that language. If Heidi was like, I've written a book and one character speaks only in French, I think I'd be like, you know what, Heidi, I might have to bow out on this one because it's just going to sound ridiculous. But in regards to characters, I'll really take on anything as long as I have her blessing. The female characters, whenever I voice a female character, I want to make sure that it doesn't sound like a guy doing a silly voice. So that'll be an interesting challenge to sustain that for so long. But I think there are ways to just slightly adjust the voice in a way that the essence is there, and you can fall into the story. So yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah, and that was a unique challenge because the series has been so established. And I think that's why people were so like against the idea, because they're like, well, we know these other characters are going to show up, and that because like the narration is still, the narration is overall in like. The narration is still in Iggy's voice, and so it's mostly when people speak, and they've also heard all these characters speak because it's not new people. It's two people that it's Mina and Rose. They've already heard both Mina and Rose be voiced by Iggy, and so in their minds they're like, well, he's already done them, and so yeah.
And the genesis to that question, because it might have come off sounding like a weird one, was we've talked to some audio narrators before, and it's always been, well, I understand why I didn't do that book because maybe it's the alpha jock who's really outside of my comfort zone as a narrator. So I was just because and to see somebody stick with one author for all the books is a little abnormal to see, and it's kind of cool that you guys have this tight partnership going on.
Well, at this point, he's sort of like my voice, and so it's like I think readers would be really like, what happened? Like they would, it's like people would really freak out, and I would freak out. I would be like, I don't know what to do. I'm also like I get real married to my people. Like that's like one of the like things I mentioned, like these books that I'm writing right now are books that will be out in 2019 for Dreamspinner, and I brought literally my entire team. The only person I don't have coming over is my formatter, and if I could bring him, I would. Just because I'm like, I got my people, and I'm like, they're not leaving, man. Like everybody's coming because it's because once I get my group, I'm like, nope, we're all here and we're not going anywhere because it works, and I'm not fixing. My grandpa had a sign in his garage that hung there like until he died and they sold the house, but it said, if it works, don't fix it. And that is, I subscribe to that motto. It's like, nope, it's working, not changing it.
Mm-hmm.
So change, not my same hair for 10 years. Nope. Not my way.
And let's talk about Antisocial a little bit. We've danced around the topic of that book a little bit. It's the latest of the audiobooks that have come out. And it's certainly different from the Roosevelt books for sure. Heidi, tell us a little bit about it.
About the audio of it, or just the book itself?
The book itself.
The book itself. So it is a new adult, and So I guess it's like the Roosevelt books in that it's also new adult, but it is set in. It's more like the Love Lessons probably because it's set in college, and it's about very reclusive art student who does not want to engage with anyone, and a very gregarious fraternity boy who engages with everyone. And once he needs to get this, he needs to get the art student to, he needs to get him to, his fraternity has ruined his painting that was on this wall, and he's trying to get him to like forgive them, and he's like, he won't. And basically like they're like, he's his weakness because he can't charm him, and that begins this long snowball of everything. And it's the book has a lot of. It's a big community book, and there's a whole cast of characters. It got it was supposed to have this tiny sprinkling of Japanese influence, which apparently was kudzu and went everywhere. And then there was all this. They started speaking Japanese, and there was Japanese lessons, and which then Iggy had to do. And they end up in Japan, and there's all kinds of crap in there. And there's manga in there, and which is why the cover is a manga cover. And so, yeah, that had some fun challenge because Iggy had to speak some Japanese. There's Japanese names, like, of people. Even when he didn't have to speak Japanese, there were Japanese, like, characters, like, and yeah, there was. I didn't even think of that until I had it. Like, I had to send him a file of, I think it was half an hour. I was like, I just like listed like how to say a bunch of things. Then I sent all these links to like places of how to say stuff, and I felt really bad. I was like, I'm sorry.
No, but Heidi was so generous in helping me out, because I was like, and that's my job, I need to figure those things out. But sometimes when I work on a book that does demand something extra like that, a good first stop can be checking with the author, see what resources they used. And Heidi sent me this elaborate series of links to really make my job quite a bit easier. So I was very, very grateful.
Well, there's all this funky stuff about Japanese, and one of the things that I knew, one of the weirdest traps that I knew that you could only know if you were actually studying Japanese, is that if you're listening to women speak Japanese versus men speak, like, there's a different way in like the lilt of the words. And so if you were, I kept trying to send him links of men speaking, because he was going to be because if he used women, it was going to sound different. And I didn't want anybody who actually spoke Japanese to go, oh, that audio narrator. I was like, no, I don't want to set you up bad. So I was like trying to help him out, because I didn't know tons. I mean, I still don't know very much. I'm still pretty crappy because I couldn't. I was studying really well at the beginning of the year, and then Sam Hain happened, and then it was like everything went to crap. And so, but at that point, I still had some retention, and so I'm like, no, I'm not gonna send you down that road. So, but it was just a matter of like Googling and going, here you go. But
life is so much better with Google.
Yeah.
So let's talk origin stories for a little bit. How did you get started in the audiobook narration realm, Iggy?
Well, I was doing some voiceover, and I had some friends that were in the audiobook world. So I thought it would be something that perhaps I could pull off, and just pursued it, auditioned for a few things, made some connections at various producers, and Insatiable Press sent some books my way that I was really grateful for, and AudioGo BBC, which actually unfortunately no longer exists, but they kind of gave me a start, and Tantor has been really good to me. So yeah, it was just kind of like, you have to find a way to get a foot in the door. But once I did, I've been really lucky, and it's been very sustaining. But yeah, I've always been a storyteller and appreciated what it means to weave a great tale, and so I guess it was a natural fit. But I had to kind of stumble in. It's not a great answer, but it's funny when I ask other people about how they end up doing a specific thing. It's always inevitably like, well, I was walking along and then something happened, and I just suddenly turned directions. And I feel like it was that for me. I just kind of stumbled into it and got really lucky, and the rest is history.
It was mentioned in your bio that you were an avid reader of romance. What were you reading before you jumped into reading it professionally?
Well, I I guess, I worry that my bio is a little deceptive because honestly, I wasn't reading romance before I stepped into the business. And I guess I just, I come from a pretty conservative background, and I guess I thought it was taboo and something that I wouldn't be into. And then as I read it, I was like, oh my God, this is so great. That was another thing about becoming a narrator is I was introduced to a genre that I had kind of a preconceived notion of what it was like, and it was just not that at all. So it kind of unlocked that for me and gave me something, added something to my life. And it's, I'm pretty lucky that I actually like what I do, that the material I get to work on is stuff that I enjoy, and for various reasons. It can be deliciously sexy, but at the same time it can be beautiful love stories, and the fact that I'm paired up with Heidi, her books are always you can expect them to be steamy, but also moving and surprising. So yeah, I guess I was introduced to the genre through my work, and just realized there's a depth there that I just had not known existed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you mentioned the depth in and that there's steamy times, and there's a sex scene in Shelter that is from Jeremy's point of view that is unlike any sex scene that I've ever written, in just how it dives so deep on Jeremy's emotions and what he's feeling in the moment. It's not even, the steps through of what's going on in the sex. It's his perception of the sex and what's happening. And it was unreal. As both a reader and an author, I'm like, that's awesome. And it's like, how do I do that in my own work? That it just blew me away. And it's interesting you kind of picked on that kind of moment.
Yeah. And I read both gay romance and guy-girl romance, and but I'll say that I am more drawn, I think, to gay romance. I think that there's inherent a level of social justice there that I find super compelling, and it adds to the narratives of people demanding to be seen and to be recognized, and that and love is love is love, and just all those themes add, I think, so much more to the genre in general. Mm-hmm. And Heidi adds the additional layers of, Emmett and Jeremy have these obstacles of not being neurotypical, and it just, Heidi minds that and makes you root for these characters even more, and be inspired by them. So yeah, I'm blown away by how much can be accomplished in these books.
Mm-hmm. And Heidi, for those who don't know your origin story, how did you come to write gay romance?
So I'm one of those nerds that's been writing forever. I wrote in high school. Like, this is, of course, I grew up back in the day. You did not have no computers in the classroom. I was writing in a notebook, and I thought I was taking notes, and I was writing novels. But I never did anything with them. I just was always writing, and I had written I don't know, 4 or 5 novels by the time I went to college, but they were crap. I mean, I still have them. They were just and I knew it too, and it frustrated me because I could always tell. And my daughter talks about this too with her drawing. She's always frustrated. She says she feels like she finishes a drawing, and then literally a week later she'll draw a new one, and the one from the week before is so bad. And I'm like, yeah, you're at that age where you're growing and learning so fast that you can't keep up with yourself. And I'm like, it'll get better. Don't worry about it. Just keep drawing. It'll be fine. But I was so frustrated because I'm like, everything I do is crap. And so then in college, I started reading, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so terrible. These people are so great. And I wasn't studying writing, but I was an English major, and then I kind of stopped for a while. But then in grad school, they had us, because I was getting my MAT for teaching, and it's a long story, but they had us reading romance novels, and I remember because I had read them in college a lot, and on the weekends, like for stress relief, and I was still reading them, but the whole, like, the way that they had us analyze them, I was like, oh, you know, I need to start writing again. And so I wrote one, and I was like, I'm going to write one that I could sell for real. And I finally finished one, and I sent it out to Harlequin, and they requested it. And I was like, oh my God. And then they rejected it. And I went, no, I'm going to try again. And then they didn't even request that one. And I was like, damn it. And so then I kept writing, and I joined a local RWA chapter, and then I got pregnant, and then I was like, forget it. But I kept writing, and then in the early 2000s, I started having like these gay secondary characters kept popping up in my story, and everyone would read them, and they're like, the gay characters are the most interesting characters you write. And I'm like, you're right. And I would always, like, because they kept stealing the show and doing us, and everybody would go, you really need to make them your main characters. But I was like, but I'll never sell them. No one will buy these books, because I was still submitting to, like, mainstream publishing houses, because I was trying to be the only thing I knew was, you know, a mainstream romance writer. And they kept saying, this is everybody who I work, all my critique partners would be like, this is where your heart is, it's so clearly. And we were advocates at the time too, and everything. And my own coming out story was, like, all very complicated and all this, which we're not going into today. But basically, I kind of, in the middle of the 2000s, sort of, I sort of, like, shut off. I didn't completely shut off the internet, but close. I mean, there wasn't much internet at that time anyway. But I, like, stopped. I cut off all my groups, and I didn't really go anywhere. And I just sort of, I just wrote and I was writing special delivery, like, for like 3-4 years. I just kept writing that damn book. And it got so dark. There was a point where Sam was like a hooker at truck stops. It was like, that did not last. But it was so weird. I kept trying to figure it out. And there was this other book I kept writing that kept going in circles. And then I ended up writing Hero First. It was supposed to be for an Alora's Cave contest, but then it got too long, and I was late. And thank God that didn't happen. But you know, everything was just crazy. And then by the time I got done writing on this book, there was this industry, like, I went to go look, I'm like, well, where will I sell this? And then I looked, and there was, places. And so then here we are. And yeah, that's awesome. My weird story of how I ended up where I am. But.
And what do fans have to look forward to from both of you this year, together and separately?
So right now I'm trying to finish up the very last of my publishing the stuff that got unpublished by all the chaos of places closing, and I still have 4 books left to go. And that's probably going to happen in, like, March and April. I took a little bit of a break just because it gets expensive. That was almost everything I made last year went back out the door, trying to put books back out, and then the new books. And right now I'm writing a 3-book medical trilogy for Dream Spinner. That won't be out this year. It'll be out next year, early next year. And so once I finish that, then it's Love Lessons, and then I'm not sure yet. If I plan too hard, I'm afraid another nuclear bomb will land on my head. So basically, then I'm going to start the plan that I had for 2017 is basically what I'm going to do. And so I have, like, so many books from so many series that were supposed to be out last year that, like, because I have all these things that I'd started, and various camps will be like, well, where's the book for blank? And where's the book for, and I'm like, it's late. It's not out. And so I I would like to write the 2 Love Lessons books and get them out, and then I need to write the next Clockwork series and get it out. I would like to, there's so much audio I want to do. I want to do the whole Minnesota Christmas series and do that, which I need to talk to Iggy about. But I don't know when, and I have to, because I have to produce that, I have to figure out when and where and how to get the money and all that. And I would like to do the Clockwork series in audio, but I haven't even republished that one. No, that one's out. It's the Private Gentleman that I have to still get out. Yeah, I'm still in like recovery mode, but we're getting there. But yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm almost out. I'm like starting to breathe normal, and yeah,
that's
right.
Good. Breathing normal is important.
It's a little less chaotic, but still kind of banana pants. But I'm alive because of my patrons, so thank you to them. They kept me solvent and sane. Mostly they're like, Heidi, have you eaten? Heidi, just calm down. It's okay. You're gonna make it. There's a lot of that. So. But.
And Iggy, what's coming up for you on your docket?
Yeah, well, a book. I'm always checking my email for updates from Heidi, and I've been told that there are things coming down the pipe, so I'm excited for that collaboration to continue. But until then, there's a book about to come out that I just did with Christina Lee. Not sure if you're familiar with her, but the book is called Reawaken. It's super sweet and charming. I started the Rainbow Cove series. The first book is Trust with a Chaser by Annabeth Albert. And then I'm prepping currently a book by Joe Raven called Jagged Edge. So all those, Reawaken will be the first one out, but the others will be coming down the pipe soon. Cool.
Excellent. And what's the best way to keep up with everybody online? Iggy, where can we keep up with you?
I laugh because I'm a little bit of an old man when it comes to social media and all that stuff. And Heidi has encouraged me to try to branch out on that. I have not yet. I've resisted her temptations, but maybe sometime soon I'll get more savvy on that front. But so I guess for now, the easiest thing is just put my name into Audible and you can see what's coming up. And start there, and hopefully I'll get a little bit more. I'll enter the digital revolution and have more to offer soon.
That works. We can certainly link up to your Audible page.
If you email me and tell me how much you liked the book, I forward it to him and say, they liked the book, Iggy.
It's true. She sends me the fan mail, which is very appreciated.
And Heidi, you're well plugged in. Where do we keep up with you at?
I have been quiet on social media because if I go on Twitter, I just look up skating and like who's going to the Olympics, and I'm gonna break it for Pyeongchang because I gotta watch Nathan Chen go get his gold. But I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Tumblr, where I mostly reblog Yuri on Ice, and I'm on Instagram sometimes. It's all on my. If you go on my website, it's on my. There's a social media and extras page, and then I have my Patreon, which is where I'm actually talking the most right now. They're getting all the dish on what I'm writing right now. That's because I feel bad because they're not going to get to see it for a year. So I'm like, here's everything that I'm doing, sort of, but you can't really see it. But here's like a snippet. So I don't know if that's like nice or torturous, but
a little bit of both, maybe.
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. But yeah.
All right, awesome. Well, again, thank you both for taking the time to talk to us about this tremendous collaboration you two have.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for inviting us.
So once again, it was such a blast to talk to Heidi and Iggy and to find out everything about how they make their audiobooks. It's really fun when we get, I think, authors and audiobook narrators together to kind of find out how that interplay works for them and how they translate the written word to the audio.
Mm-hmm.
virtual page, if you will.
Exactly. We're so glad that they chose to join us. I hope everyone listening will join us next week. Next week, we've got a lot of great stuff, primarily in episode 121, Author A.M. Arthur, there you go, is going to be joining us.
Yeah, looking forward to talking to her this week to get ready for that broadcast, to find out about her books and that we've kind of fallen in love with.
Yeah, she's amazing, and we can't wait for you to hear this particular interview. So, guys, remember, no matter where life takes you, the journey will always be sweeter if you have a book. Until next time, guys, keep turning those pages and keep reading.
For detailed show notes and the complete episode backlist, go to biggayfictionpodcast.com. New episodes are available every Monday on all major podcast distributors and YouTube. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.